And a very happy Thursday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, yesterday, Governor Gavin Newsom announced that the state of California is suing the federal government over their tariff policy. Gavin Newsom says Donald Trump doesn't have standing to do this, and it is unfairly impacting the state of California, including those farmers.
Almonds you see around us, export dependent. Pistachios, export.
Pistachios?
That's a weird way to pronounce it.
Pistachio.
Maybe it was just a mistake.
Pistachios, export dependent. Dairy, export dependent. In fact, 43% of almonds and pistachios and dairy are export dependent.
He is so desperate to attach himself to every national story, he is willing to do literally anything.
Including mispronounced pistachio.
Pistachios.
Do you think he did that on purpose? Because I know he mispronounces Ron DeSantis' last name on purpose. Do you think he's doing that with pistachios too?
Is he trying to neg pistachios?
Pistachios.
Maybe he's just never had one.
Pistachios.
Okay, is that some kind of upper crust pronunciation that we're unaware of?
I have never heard anybody pronounce it like this.
Pistachios.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people do, but that's a new one to me. This is no tomato.
Okay, I've heard tomato, but you have to be from the UK to pronounce it that way.
Pistachios.
No one born here pronounces it pistachio. Is there some country on planet Earth where that's how they pronounce it?
Pistachios.
You know what he might be doing?
What's that?
He might be going down the road of Madonna where he's going to develop a fake accent. But let me tell you, if you're a politician and you're in California and you think a fake accent will benefit you politically, maybe a fake British accent isn't the way to go. Because Madonna, she's trying to impress a different set of people. Gavin Newsom, he needs the voters behind him. And I guess he doesn't have to worry about the people of California anymore, but he needs the people in the swing states if he's the Democratic nominee. So here's my advice to you, Gavin. If you are hell-bent on coming up with a fake accent that will benefit you, you should do what Alec Baldwin's wife did and come up with a fake Spanish accent. Because that's where the swing voters are.
Pistachios.
So become a fake Spaniard. It seems to have worked out for her. She has a reality TV show. Her husband shot a woman in the face, and she's still in good standing. Everything's going fine for those two. And for all the Baldwinitos. So, Gavin, why don't you do what she did? She's from Massachusetts. You're from San Francisco. Fewer people will question your fake accent than question hers.
Pistachios.
He's so insufferable.
Hey, only a year and a half, right?
Well, you know, on that podcast that he did with Marshawn Lynch, he had the Amos and Andy drawl.
Pagan burger.
So I guess you can add the fake British accent to the list, too.
He does kind of change his personality to whoever he's talking to. When he has a Democrat on his podcast, he is all in with all those policies. When he has a Republican on his podcast, he thinks they're full of great ideas.
You know who's starting to use a fake accent, too, is AOC. Did you see that one?
What is she doing?
She sounds like the ladies from Reseda when she's speaking before a Southwestern audience.
I know.
Maybe she witnessed somebody getting their Rolex stolen in a Vons parking lot.
I was fixing breakfast the other day, and there was a clip of her at that rally that was playing in the background. And I thought, who is that? And then I walked over and I looked at the screen and I saw that it was her. And I thought, when did she get that accent?
Pistachios.
Well, Gavin Newsom is desperately trying to attach himself to every national story, including the tariffs, including to anything and everything that Donald Trump is doing. And Randy, he had a lot to say.
This was Gavin Newsom in front of a pistachio farm yesterday.
We talk often about California being the fifth largest economy in the world. That is correct. We're also the largest manufacturing state in the United States of America, $412 billion output. And I want to put that in perspective. Texas is 41% smaller. It's a 41%.
Why is he always taking shots at Texas?
Well, it's either Texas or Florida.
Texas is 41% smaller. It's a 41% larger share.
Is he still burned because Elon left him for Texas?
Oh, yeah. He doesn't like to be left at the altar.
Of manufacturing output just here in the great state of California. Puts in perspective something that often isn't.
Is he still pissed because the King of Bro podcast, Joe Rogan, moved to Austin?
And won't even put him on a show.
Communicated, I think, as effectively as it should be. By the way, the United States is the second largest manufacturer in the world, which is also something that I think is important to highlight. So the manufacturing footprint in this state is disproportionately impacted by the tariffs, disproportionate to any other state in the nation. Of course.
You mean because it's the largest state, which is obvious?
Okay, it doesn't matter what category you're talking about. We're going to be number one because we have more people than everyone else. Which state graduates the most people from high school? It's California. Which state makes the most income? It's California.
Here's a fun one. John, which state has the most poor people?
It's California.
By the tariffs, disproportionate to any other state in the nation. Of course, we talk about the fifth largest economy in the world. Let's put that in perspective. We're 14% of the U.S. GDP. That is 50% higher than the next state. No other state will be more impacted by the impacts of this, as Christine said, uncertainty that is best described as toxic uncertainty because of these tariffs. Let me underscore that with more consideration and context to where we are. We are also the largest hunting, fishing, agriculture.
We're the largest everything.
I wonder if they do this in Alaska, which is the state that has the largest land mass in the country. You know, we have more animals than any other state in the union. Did you know that? We have more square footage than any other state in the union. How about them apples?
Agriculture and forestry state in this nation, 150% larger than the next state, Texas.
Boy, he just loves taking shots at Texas for no reason about things that have nothing to do with Texas.
And how convenient. Number 2 on the list is the next largest state in the union.
It's almost like the things that he is saying have no real meaning.
Folks talk to us about the impacts, regional impacts of rural economies. You're talking about California. You're not just talking about the Midwest and places like Texas.
How dumb does he think we are? He's going on and on and on about how California has more of everything than any other state in the union. And you get the impression, and you know who used to do this too? Al Gore was like this. You notice when he was trying to explain something to us, he'd talk real slow, like all of us are suffering from brain damage and can't follow along like normal humans. So he's got to lay it out like a kindergarten teacher would to 5-year-olds.
Places like Texas, you're talking about our state, the state of California. Almonds you see around us, export dependent. Pistachios.
Can't get over that.
I wonder what other nut he's going to mispronounce. Do we produce any Brazil nuts?
Is pistachio too pedestrian of a nut for Gavin? Does he only do pecans?
When you pronounce the word that way, people look at you and think that you wash your hair in Avion.
Pistachios, export dependent. Dairy, export dependent. In fact,
I guess he's never had pistachio nut ice cream.
Rite Aid makes a mean one.
Dependent. In fact, 43% of almonds and pistachios and dairy are export dependent in the state of California. Few industries will be hammered more than the toxic uncertainty of these Trump tariffs.
He likes that word, toxic uncertainty.
So dramatic.
Of these Trump tariffs. The impacts, what more evidence do you need? Check your 401k. Check your portfolio. If it includes NVIDIA, you should check it right now. NVIDIA, the great...
He is such a drama queen. He's just going down the list. This man needs a fainting couch.
NVIDIA, the great California company, one highlighted by this same Trump administration over the course of the last 24 to 48 hours.
Isn't that the stock that Nancy Pelosi made a killing on?
Well, yes. Yes,
yeah,
it is.
I wonder why that's top of mind.
Just got hit today with a $5.5 billion charge. Great California company got hit with a $5.5 billion charge, sending the markets to tumble yet again today. NASDAQ down over 2% as I speak.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, suddenly, by the way, the guy that shut our economy down for 2 years is really worried that the climate for business is bad.
Are you saying that Gavin Newsom talks out of both sides of his mouth?
Well, he talks out of both sides of something.
The uncertainty is pronounced and it is profound in the state of California. Consider just the imports coming from Mexico, Canada, and China. 44% of all of the imports into the state of California alone come from just those three countries, $197.3 billion in 2023. The impacts of these tariffs, particularly on those three countries, disproportionately impact the state of California across the spectrum.
Oh, he does love to say that.
He has a few crutches that he just leans on over and over and over again. And you're correct, Randy, that is one.
Foundational, mindful, across the spectrum, and, of course, my favorite, localism is determinative.
Well, how about cohorts and that old African proverb?
Oh, there's that one, too.
The impacts are off the charts. We talk about regional disparities. The impact in counties like this, counties like Kern.
Isn't Gavin the one who always goes around saying Kern County is the murder capital of California?
Yeah. He's taken a break from trashing them as the armpit of California to suddenly say that the president is slurring them by playing around with trade.
Rural parts of the state will be outsized. It's not just the coast and technology. Think about the impacts already in the mega region of Baja and San Diego. Chris, you were talking about the integration of supply chains and a deeper appreciation and understanding that decades and decades forming a relationship, building trust, manufacturing, one side of the border, assembling on the other side of the border. You think about the impacts, the automobile industry, electronics, aerospace, in our state alone, disproportionate impacts. So California...
Wait, didn't he just drive one of the last remaining oil refineries out of the state?
Oh, we'll get to that later. And yes, he gets asked about that later, too.
In our state alone, disproportionate.
No, now Gavin's pro-business.
I see. Boy, he's bouncing back and forth like a ping pong ball.
Pistachio, pistachio.
In our state alone, disproportionate impacts. So California. Why California? Well, that's why. No state is poised to lose more than the state of California. So that's our state of mind. And that's why we're asserting ourselves on behalf of 40 million Americans. And I imagine if you caucus those 40 million Americans, you'd find few, I don't care where they were in the last election, that are celebrating this uncertainty, that are celebrating the largest tax increase in modern U.S. history.
Oh, now Gavin's against high taxes.
Oh, yeah. Well, he talked to those pistachio farmers.
In essence, a sales tax. In essence, a sales tax, a regressive sales tax that hurts working folks.
You mean like the gas tax?
What does that do to working folks there, Gavin?
That is something we are mindful of.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Carmela writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Guys, I was in Fort Worth, Texas earlier this week. Sam's Club had gas for $2.69 a gallon.
A lot of people are emailing us saying that they love the pistachio ice cream from Rite Aid.
Because it's fantastic. It's one of the best. Although you're going to have to get a double scoop because you also got to get chocolate malted crunch.
You know, it's so weird because typically I'm a creature of habit and I order the same thing from my usual haunts all the time. One of the places where I just can't do that is at the ice cream stand at the Rite Aid because there are so many I love. I love the chocolate malted crunch. I love the pistachio nut. I love chocolate chip mint. I love it all.
They all taste like my childhood.
And they had some that went away that used to be there, like marble fudge.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, what happened to that? If you'd like to listen to the podcast edition of this program, Randy, that's easy to do.
Let's say you want to hear more of us trashing Gavin. Search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts.
Google it.
Search for The John Phillips Show on the Apple Podcast app.
I mean, this is the dumbest stuff I've ever heard.
Spotify.
We're as dumb as we want to be.
iHeart. Anywhere that you get your podcast, you'll hear us trashing this guy.
I'm sick and tired of being screwed.
You know, their Rocky Road is pretty good, too.
Oh, yeah.
And I even spring for the animal crackers sometimes. Or the mother's cookies, I guess you call it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. What do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
How about this, everyone? The LA County Fair is back, celebrating its 103rd anniversary May 2nd through 26th. Don't miss the largest county fair and the best entertainment in Southern California. Tickets are on sale now at lacountyfair.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-222. That's 1-888-795-222. Gets a 4-pack of tickets to the fair. Tickets furnished by the LA County Fair. Good luck dialing.
My grandparents like pineapple coconut.
I think I've had that one.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Jim writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and has a very simple question. Was Gavin at a pistachio farm in Topanga?
Pistachios.
In Topanga.
It's very possible.
He was with Bonta.
I know we're talking Gavin, but now the only thing I can think about is Rite Aid ice cream.
This is all you're going to think about the next 2.5 hours.
I know.
And then at 3 o'clock, you're going to go.
I have some chocolate chip in the freezer, so that I'm going to hit tonight.
I think you're going to hit that before 3.
It's very possible. All right, let's go back to Gavin Newsom going after Donald Trump.
Gavin Newsom suing the federal government over tariffs.
That hurts poor folks. That hurts hardworking folks.
This is regressive taxes like the gas tax or the sales tax hikes that happened in Los Angeles and now Oakland.
By the way, I love the fact that he's turned Rob Bonta into his own personal Better Call Saul. He's got this greasy sleazeball attorney who's willing to file whatever nuisance lawsuit Gavin wants.
Like Christine and those that Chris represents disproportionately. This is
Christine, I believe, is the pistachio farmer.
Oh, yes.
This is recklessness at another level. The geopolitical impacts are outsized. The trade impacts are outsized, not just the economic.
He so wants to be on the world stage. He so can't stand dealing with the domestic issues of the state of California.
Can you imagine if this were Bill Clinton and not Gavin Newsom, and he was the governor and the candidate trying to generate national attention for himself? He might have handled this a little bit different, Randy. Hi there, Christine. Why don't you say that after this press conference, you and I crack some nuts together?
That's why we were up in Canada making a case anew to try to encourage Canadians. What the hell do we have on the Canadians? Mocking people in another country, one of our great partners? Talking about being a 51st state? The fact that we had to invest in advertising
That advertising isn't working, by the way. I was watching a YouTube video on CBC where they were taking calls from Canadians, and they're not coming to California, even with Gavin's stupid ads.
I think I told you. I ran into some Canadians at dinner the other night who said that they hate Donald Trump and they're never coming back to California. And I asked them where they were going, and they said Guatemala. And I asked them if they had current dental records.
Up in Canada and encourage people to come to the great state of California, where 2 million Canadians visited last year, is a sign of the times, a testament to the moment we're living in. We're 2,000 miles away from Washington, D.C. We're a world away from the values that are emanating out of the White House.
Okay, that literally was in his ad.
He is repeating a script that has been written by other people.
And by the way, isn't it convenient that his ad for people to come to California has his face on international television?
I'd love to know what programs he's buying. What do you think he's buying? Is he buying hockey?
Gotta buy hockey.
What else do they watch up there? Canada's an odd place. Have you ever been before?
I haven't. I was actually going to go this summer, but now I don't think Americans are welcome.
Okay. It's one of these odd places where when you're flying into an airport up there, you know how the pilot gets on the intercom and tells you whatever time zone you're in?
Uh-huh.
Okay, when you land in Canada, they say, okay, you've just landed in Winnipeg. Please adjust your clocks and turn everything back to 1945.
Again, that's why we're here. That's why we are asserting ourselves.
Well, we know that you're here for attention.
Oh, yes. That's the motivator for everything that you do, in fact.
You notice that Gavin is back to trying to get attention in front of a podium because Gavin is not getting a lot of attention on his podcast. I don't know if all the requests he have for the MAGA people, they're just saying no, or he doesn't like the blowback he was getting from that, but nobody's tuning in to the Gavin Newsom podcast lately when you have guests that are not controversial.
Well, he's willing to do anything for attention. Remember that photo shoot he did with Kimberly Guilfoyle on the bearskin rug?
Oh, yeah. The next Kennedy.
I can't imagine anything more unifying for a state at this moment than stepping up as we're stepping up here today on this critical issue. So I just, again...
Actually, you know what's unifying? The latest Emerson College poll has Gavin Newsom with a 31% approval rating.
Gavin Newsom might be at the last stop on the subway. And I think he's starting to realize that now. He put all of his eggs in the Grampy Joe basket. He thought that Grampy Joe was going to stick around, and by him being the loyal soldier, if Grampy Joe were to win another term, he would be the guy who would be rewarded by becoming Secretary of State or by becoming a different cabinet officer, cabinet secretary, and that would propel him to the White House due to his closeness with Grampy Joe. And then when Grampy Joe said, I'm never dropping out of the race, so stop asking. And then about 20 minutes later, he dropped out, and Kamala was the one that replaced him. Gavin Newsom was behind the 8 ball.
Than stepping up as we're stepping up here today on this critical issue. So I just, again, want to thank the Attorney General, who's not been timid. He mentioned 14 lawsuits. We overall have 15 when you had the one he wasn't directly involved in. I want to thank...
Just a great use of the Attorney General's job because there's no problems in the state of California.
None at all.
I want to thank him, and I want to thank the legislature. Don't forget, we did a special session, seems like a lifetime ago. It was just a few months ago.
Yeah, and that special session was getting a lot of blowback. So at the very end, he said, oh, this is for Trump-proofing California and wildfire aid.
The only thing he's thinking about right now is what guest he can book on the podcast so he can generate more attention for himself.
Well, it's not going to happen when he's booking Rahm Emanuel.
No, he's going to have to book someone with some pizzazz, a bold-faced name, someone who's well-known in conservative circles, and then he's going to have to start talking about transgendered athletes again. Or maybe he already did in this press conference, spending so much time focused on Christine's nuts.
You be careful, Mr. Phillips. You're right on the line.
I'm behaving.
Saying we have an open hand, not a closed fist. And it was a sincere sentiment. We didn't want to go down this path.
He's getting a little Peter Brady-ish.
Yeah, he is.
We didn't want to go down this path. We were hoping we didn't need to go down this path. But we prepared to go down this path. And so I'm grateful not just to the Attorney General, but to all of those members of his staff that he called out. I want to thank them for their partnership, their stewardship, the legislature, the same, for recognizing the severity of this moment.
The legislature that pretty much does whatever you want.
That legislature is not a co-equal branch of government at all. They've just become the chihuahua that lives in his purse.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because the legal theory in this lawsuit is that the president is overstepping his authority, and this is something Congress should do, which Gavin has a little experience with when he took over the state during COVID.
Oh, yeah. And the legislature, which in theory can check him, he treats like they're the help.
We talk about on goals. We talk about, stupidity. No.
We're getting that indignant laugh going on. No.
Oh, he loves those.
When he starts grunting, that's when you know he's real mad.
No.
No.
No. This needs to be updated in the next Wikipedia or the next encyclopedia as
I think he's running out of gas.
He is.
As a poster child for that. It's a serious and sober moment. And I'd be, in closing, lying to you if
Spoiler alert, this wasn't closing.
Oh, no. He always says that. It's a pump fake.
When he says final words, when he says in closing, he's not wrapping up.
Lying to you if I said it can be quickly undone. And that's why we have a unique responsibility to do more at this moment as well. And I've been involved in, I think, 19 or so MOUs with countries around the world.
You're not a world leader, Gavin.
If instead of Christine, he was up there with Mr. Peanut from the Planters Peanuts, I wonder if Gavin, instead of the accent, would be wearing a monocle.
We've been reaching out to foreign leaders. They've been reaching out to us. And the critical nature of subnational trade and people-to-people relationship cannot be understated at this moment.
You mean like last week when Gavin said, hey, China, you love us, right? Don't tariff us. Just tariff the rest of the country.
It's so weird how he sees the world, where he thinks that the oil companies are colluding against one state and not the 49 others, and that he can cut some sort of secret deal with foreign governments so that there are tariffs against 49 states but not one.
And California can and will play an outsized role in that relationship. We have got to rebuild trust. 80 years of economic dominance in just a matter of weeks being unwound by this kind of recklessness. And so we are here very mindful.
There it is.
He loves that word.
And so we are here very mindful of the anxiety that this has imposed on all of you and very mindful of our role.
We got a double.
Shall we make it 3?
No, it's only 2.
And very mindful of our role.
You know what I use AI for these days? To find out how many mindfuls are in a transcript of a Gavin speech or podcast.
And very mindful of our role and responsibility at this moment, not to be bystanders and try to shape this debate and shape this conversation. And this lawsuit is a meaningful and
no, it's not.
This is a publicity stunt, and he knows it. But he is trying to convince all of these peanut farmers, whatever you call them.
Pistachio farmers,
excuse me, that he's being earnest.
and justifiable effort to do just that, to be accountable at this critical moment in not just California history, but American and world history. With that, we're here to answer any questions.
He got real gravelly there at the end.
Oh, he did. He did. You notice Christine didn't do much talking.
Pistachios.
Christine's a little insulted.
Well, if he continued talking about the global economy, We're very dependent on imports here in California. As you can see, Christine's overalls there were not made here in the United States. They're made in China, along with that straw hat of hers.
Pistachios.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Will writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Guys, I think Gavin Newsom has a shelled pistachio for a brain.
Pistachios.
And the emails about thrifty ice cream are still coming in fast and furious.
Y'all are going to make Johnny eat an entire gallon of that thing before the show's over.
Oh, I love it so much. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. All right, let's go back to Gavin.
So the first question out of the gate at the press conference after Gavin's 9-minute rant was, why are you so mad, bro? And, of course, the questions are at Mike, so I just have to guess that's what they're asking.
Well, how can you not be? I've got 4 kids. 80% of their toys under their Christmas tree come from China.
What?
Wait, what's he buying them?
Also, aren't they all teenagers now?
He's buying them toys from China?
80% of their toys under their Christmas tree come from China.
Daddy Gavin's too cheap to give his kids the Nintendo Switch 2.
Where do they make those?
Japan and Vietnam.
Everything my kids get is from China, whether it's the toys under the tree, the clothes that they wear to school, or the viruses that they contract.
80% of their toys under their Christmas tree come from China. I've got family members living paycheck to paycheck. Many family members.
I'm going to guess those are the ones you don't talk to.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wasn't this guy and his family close to the Gettys?
On his dad's side, Mommy was poor.
Okay, the dad was the consigliere for the Gettys.
Yes.
Okay. And what did Mom do? She was from the other side of the tracks?
Yes.
Okay. And so he spent most of his time with Dad and not Mom, I take it.
Yes.
Okay. So here's what happens. If he really legitimately is related to a lot of poor people who he's not helping, he has blocked every single one of their phone numbers.
Because Gavin has his own money, and he also married into a very, 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 very wealthy family. So if he has poor family members, there's some bad blood.
Oh, yeah. Here's an old African proverb for you, Gavin. A friend in need is a pest.
I've got family members living paycheck to paycheck. Many family members. My mom, who passed away years and years ago, was one of them.
Wait, he didn't help the mother either?
Apparently not. I mean, we know he's cheap. He buys his kids presents from China.
You know, we should have paid closer attention to his campaign speeches. Him railing against the conditions of county hospitals. County hospital is disgusting. I wouldn't even visit my own mother when I put her in there.
I mean, no rationale, no plan, no conscience to what it's doing to real people, no consideration of congressional responsibility. Where the hell is Congress? Where the hell is Speaker Johnson? Do your job.
Now he cares about the separation of powers.
And he's back to the swearing.
They're sitting there passively as this guy wrecks the economy of the United States of America, which has dominated the global economy. Don't take my word for it. The Wall Street Journal. We are the envy to the world. And overnight, a wrecking ball to America's reputation, our role, and our relationship. And so I'm angry as a parent.
Oh, there's another indignant laugh.
Well, he's pissed. Aren't you paying attention?
There you go, everyone. Gavin Newsom, very upset about the increasing price of
Pistachios.